Race number 5, 17 minutes to post, and this certainly is one of the, if not the most anticipated undercard race of this Grade 1 afternoon here at Keeneland Racecourse because of the presence of this colt, Nashville, who absolutely destroyed a field at Saratoga in his first race. He won by 11 lengths. They went fast. He went fast, and he finished up fast. That was over a sloppy track, which certainly will lend itself to faster times. But the way that he did it, he was geared down, winning by 11 lengths. He's a Keeneland September sales graduate from 2018, owned by Windstar Farm and China Horse Club. They purchased this Speightstown colt for $460,000, and he looks like he's worth every penny. He's had a workout here at Keeneland, 3 furlongs just 5 days ago. Watch out for Nashville, a horse that is on the rise as far as stardom is concerned in the game of thoroughbred horse racing. He is currently 1-5, and don't expect that to change all that much here in the next 16 minutes. Cowboy Diplomacy is my second choice, getting back to sprinting, building off of that most recent race against a good group of sprinters at Churchill Downs last time out. He is an older horse, obviously taking on a year younger group, including Nashville, currently sitting at 5-1 is this entry with Cowboy Diplomacy being the one that I like the best of these two in here in this 6 furlong sprint. The other being the Big S for Ray Handel. He's got a horse, or he's a horse that could show a bit of life as well. That last race was not bad. So these two horses at 5-1, good alternatives as the second choice in this spot if you feel like taking on the beast that is Nashville. And then finally, SOUNION for Brian Lynch. It's been 7 months since we've seen him. Is this a comeback race or just a jumping off point to get to route races? We'll find out. His sprint debut was okay, and he ran into a really nice 2-year-old at the time. In Dennis's moment, you've got to look at his workouts and respect them. That 59-3 move was quick, just back on the 29th of September. We'll see where he's at. He's had some tough fields that he's faced off against. New York Traffic, Gouverneur Morris. That's SOUNION, the 3, my third selection here in race 5.
Scott, I'm going to pick up where you left off with the number 3, SOUNION. He is the top pick for me. And yes, you're right. This could just be a starting off point for this horse, as he did prove that he could go a distance of ground when he was racing earlier this year. I just think he has some serious class. He was very effective against top 3-year-olds at that time, like Gouverneur Morris, who went on to be competitive in the Arkansas Derby, and New York Traffic, who was competitive in some of those Derby prep races and even running in the Kentucky Derby. So, yeah, I think this horse has class. It's just a question of what do you make of the 7 Nashville and how good is he really? He was certainly very good in his debut, and he was pretty much the talk of the town as this horse did go off at 30 cents to the dollar. He's a son of Speightstown, but he's out of the mizzen-masked mare and comes from the family that produced Giacomo. So that's just kind of a look at some of the female line and just how successful that female family actually has been. So you take that into consideration with just this horse's physical build, and there's no surprise that he was purchased for $460,000. So Nashville, he looks like the goods. I haven't been able to get a really good look at him, and as he has been in the indoor saddling stall here, getting the saddle on from trainer Steve Asmussen. So hopefully get a closer look in just a minute. And then finally, the number 8 spin rate comes off the layoff here for trainer Ron Moquette. I went back and looked at that last race, and it was a fast pace and it was falling apart, but this horse was just barreling down the stretch. So maybe it was a little bit of an optical illusion, as it was a fast pace that seemingly fell apart, but he does look like a horse that just has some raw talent. So I'll use him in third, but it is all eyes and focus on the number 7, Nashville, as he's going to go off as your heavy favorite in this upcoming race 5 that does kick off that pick 6.
The horses are entering the track for Keeneland's fifth race, the Tower Hill. An allowance for 3-year-olds and up, 6 furlongs over the main track, which is listed fast. Double and pick 3 wagering start of the pick 6. No carryover for the pick 6. Carryover, though, for the Super High 5 jackpot of over $39,000. Main track is fast. Turf is good. Scratch the 2, Branco Maria. Number 2, Branco Maria is a scratch. Post time at 7 minutes.
Coming up next is this fifth race here at Keeneland, a very nice allowance race for these 3-year-olds and upward. And we're taking a closer look at the number 7, Nashville, for trainer Steve Asmussen, who was so impressive in his debut. He went on to win by over 11 lengths at Saratoga over a sloppy sealed track. And since then, it seems like he's been working very nicely here in Kentucky, especially or his most recent work at Keeneland. Looking at him as a physical, he is an athletic colt. Definitely looks like Speightstown. You see the Speightstown influence on him, just given his strength, his shoulder, everything about him. Such an athletic looking individual. He's not very tall, but he's just perfectly put together and very athletic. The one thing that I noticed about him, I was watching him closely in the paddock after they put the saddle on, and he just seems like a cool customer. He was very professional. It didn't really look like he was phased by anything. And after they brought him through the tunnel and through the post parade, it just looked like he completely flipped the switch on. And he started to get on his toes, and it was almost like he was telling himself, okay, game on. So I just love his mannerisms on the track, just from knowing how to relax and be a professional in the paddock to knowing when to turn it on the track. So we could see something special, but obviously the biggest question is whether or not that sloppy sealed track enhanced his performance and what he's going to do on this track. The track is listed as fast right now, and we haven't had much rain today. So this is this true test, and this isn't an easy field. Now we're taking a closer look here at the 3 SOUNION. You can see he's getting some lather on his neck and by his girth as well. This horse is sharp today. Physically, it does look like he can stretch out. It also looks like he might be able to be sharp enough to be competitive in the sprint race. I wouldn't be surprised if Brian Lynch does ultimately decide to stretch him back out in distance. Again, this could be a starting point, but he is very high energy and very sharp today. So I would say that that's a good thing coming off the layoff at the sprint distance, that he's not going to be left behind at 3/4. And then the number one Cowboy Diplomacy, talking about another very sharp individual. And he just looks like your typical sprinter. His shoulder, that muscle definition, a big engine behind the saddle too. He could be the biggest threat to the favorite because he is a horse that at least has 2 races underneath of his belt. He's faced kind of a good allowance competition last time out. We'll see Coastal Defense later today in the Fayette. So he's probably the class of the race, I should say, and just judging by some of his past performances. But he could pose as the biggest threat to the 2-5 favorite in the 7 Nashville. Once again, Nashville, very impressive in his debut at Saratoga. We'll see what's in store as he is your 2-5 favorite.
The horses have reached the starting gate for Keeneland's 5th race, the Tower Hill, start of the pick 6. At the post in the rough, Nashville quick into stride, comes right out running for the lead. Hoof Prince has early speed as well. Wayne O is away running in third. The Big S, fourth up on the outside. Cowboy Diplomacy comes away down toward the inside in the fifth position. So Union sixth in between horses. Maximiliano is seventh. Break of 5 more lengths back to Spin Rate, who is eighth and last into the far turn. Nashville is the leader. Nashville leads it by 4 lengths. Opening quarter in 22.18 seconds. Nashville, the heavy favorite, leads it by 6 around the far turn. And then Wayne O up the inside to challenge Hoof Prince for second. The Big S tries to join them far outside. Cowboy Diplomacy is next, but running 15 lengths off the lead. Joined there off the far turn by So Union. Quarter mile to come. Nashville well in front of the field. They are stacked 4 across, contesting second. Hoof Prince in between horses along with the Big S. Wayne O back toward the inside. Then So Union and Cowboy Diplomacy. All of this well behind Nashville. Ricardo Santana Jr. just strolling on by the 16th pole goes Nashville. The Keeneland sales grad, much the best here this afternoon. Nashville does it again. Further back, it was So Union across the line in second, followed by the Big S, Cowboy Diplomacy, and Maximiliano.
It was a race against the clock in the end, and he stops it in 109 flat, geared down. Another strong performance from this colt, and I don't know that we've even seen the best of him yet, Gabby Gaudette.
This was absolutely insane today, Scott. He was so fast coming out of the gate, and there was no point in the race that you thought that he was going to lose. This was a spectacular